Plank Show, episode 291. Amazon Done For You. The secret sauce behind profitable FBA brands with Brad DeGraw. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Brad DeGraw, and his website is azdoneforyou.com. We're going to be talking about lots of fun stuff with Amazon. So, Mr. Brad, how are things today?
Excellent.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Nice, short, concise answer. And so, can you tell us basically what it is that you do and what makes you stand out, what makes you special?
Yeah, absolutely. So we make physical products that people love. Sometimes they're made in the US, sometimes in overseas, and we sell those products on Amazon. We teach other people to do the same thing.
Awesome. So, so you make physical products on Amazon. You teach people how to do the same thing, and so lots of people do that. But why do you guys stand out compared to everyone else? Are you guys like the simpler solution, or what's the deal?
Yeah, there's two things that make us stand out. One is we do live training. We actually walk through and do the projects with people. So if someone wants to make like gaming glasses, we actually go through, we do the research, we find the supplier, we do everything step by step, hand holding through the whole process, so there's no way to fail. And the other thing is we like to read the 1, 2, and 3-star reviews and make things a little bit better than what's already on the market. We innovate.
Awesome, cool. And so, so if I'm hearing you correctly, so are you guys sort of like newbie focused and like people who like don't have a product and haven't used Amazon before? I mean, what's sort of your like, what's the best person to come to you for this kind of help?
Yeah, for us, it's first timers. You know, maybe you like Amazon or you've sold on eBay before, but this would be your first time manufacturing a product, first time launching it. Those are the people we really love helping because going from 0 to 1 is life changing. Going from like 2 to 3, not as big of a deal.
Right. I mean, I completely agree. So, so if your guys are targeting those first timers, can you kind of walk me through the process and sort of like assume that I know like nothing about Amazon, and I come to you and I say, you know, I've got this idea, help me. What are the steps? What's the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing you have to do is realize that Amazon is the new Walmart. I was raised in Southwest Missouri, kind of Walmart territory, and that was a big deal 20, 30 years ago. Now the big thing is Amazon. If you can put a product on Amazon that people love, you can change your income level radically. So what you do is you read those 1, 2, and 3-star reviews based on people's problems, fantasies, desires. Maybe it's women who have curly hair that want straight hair they want curly hair. There's a fantasy there. If we can figure out what product to sell, then we just find a manufacturer to make it, put our brand on it, and we sell it.
Awesome. Makes it pretty simple. And I like your thought process, especially in that, you know, a lot of people might just have the advice of, oh, we just think of something fun or see what's hot and selling and put some stuff out there and see what works. But I like how you have this emphasis on looking at the competition, looking at those bad reviews. That way that you can kind of build on top of what other people have done and kind of hit the ground running there and avoid maybe some of the usual hangups that someone might have come across and kind of come out of the gate already a step ahead of some of those other competitors.
Exactly. That's a big deal, is find that problem fantasy desire that exists in the marketplace. It doesn't have to match who you are. It just has to match a proven model of success.
Cool. And so, so once someone sort of figures out, okay, well, I've seen what's already out there. I'm going to follow that proven model of success, as you said, and you used that example of gaming glasses. So let's say someone says, all right, I want to make gaming glasses, and well, first of all, like, what are gaming glasses, by the way?
Well, I have a 10-year-old son, and he spends a lot more time in front of a screen than I did when I was 10. And so as a parent, every parent has the same problem fantasy desire. We want our kids to grow up healthy, smarter than us, and have, you know, a better way through the world. So this is a great product for kids to have ample screen time, but still protect their eyes from the fatigue that happens when you stare at screens all day long.
Awesome. And so if you were looking at gaming glasses or looking at what's already out there, I mean, what would you be looking for to sort of decide if this is a path that you should continue pursuing or if this is not viable on Amazon?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing you do is you do your keyword search. So just as a customer, there's a search bar. Amazon's a search engine to find products. So you would type in your main keywords like gaming glasses or computer glasses. And then I like to see my search results would be less than 5,000, which means I have low competition. So anywhere between 1,000 and zero is really compelling. Anything under 5,000 is good. Then I want to look and see how much revenue are they doing? Are they selling lots or are they selling a little? We have a tool for that. It's called Jungle Scout. It's awesome. It is a paid tool, but there's a tool that allows you to see how much revenue your competition's doing. We want to see a competitor that's doing multiple competitors doing at least $20,000 a month. I want to make sure that there's at least one competitor that's doing $5,000 to $10,000 a month with maybe only a few dozen reviews, because that's probably where we're going to start. And those are the big pieces. So low competition, high revenue, good demand.
Cool. And then, so you do this search and you use this Jungle Scout tool and you look at sort of how people are ranked and how much they're making and stuff like that. And I'm curious because when I'm scrolling through these different gaming glasses, this sort of thing strikes me as something that is, I assume, like pretty simple to manufacture, pretty cheap to manufacture compared to sort of that high dollar that it sells for. I mean, I'm seeing that a lot of these sell for, 20, $30. And so is that sort of a factor in deciding things? Like, do you ever sort of do this research and say, oh, well, the numbers are way off, like the price is too low, or this might be too complex of a thing to manufacture?
Yeah, absolutely. So rather than making an entire gaming system, we don't want to be Sony. We want to make something that has low technology, something that's light, that it's small, so we can ship it by air if it's coming from overseas. And then, and also, yeah, $20 price point or higher is really where we like to stay.
Awesome. And then have you sort of in going through this process, have you said, okay, well, I'm making sure it checks off the boxes. It's low tech, it's small, it's light, it's $20. But then have you ever gone and gone to the sort of manufacturer side of things and said, whoa, well, even though like it almost is a fit, but for whatever reason, like the profit margins just aren't quite there. Have you seen something like that where like you thought it was a simple thing to make, but it seemed like it cost like $10 a pop to create?
Yes, absolutely. And that will happen sometimes, depending on your supplier. Sometimes they are great with negotiation. We just lay all the cards on the table and say, listen, I'd love to do this deal, but the only way I can do business with you is if our unit price is, let's say, $5.50. That's the most I can pay for the product. And if you can get there, then we can do business together. And if you can't, we just won't be able to do the deal. And about half the time, they're able to find the wiggle room and find a way to get there.
Awesome. And so, and you mentioned this number like $20 a little while ago, and then five and a half dollars or so here. Are you looking for like a certain like profit margin percentage, or looking for like a certain maximum price that you'll buy some of these items?
You are asking all the right questions. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so minimum you want is a 300% markup. So if you're buying it for X, you're going to sell it for 3X. If we bought it for 10, we need to sell it for 30. That's the absolute minimum. That's razor thin. We love to get to a 5X or higher if we can.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And I'm appreciating it. It sort of sounds like there's sort of like the art piece and the science piece of this, that there's like some amount of sort of like eyeballing it and looking at it, but then once you kind of know that side of things is covered, then you kind of go over and look at the number side of things. And so if you have, so let's say like this client came to you, they said, I have this idea, I want to create some gaming glasses. You go and look at your Jungle Scout, you look at for what things are selling at, you look at some of those competitors, including the ones that don't have a lot of reviews. You go over to those manufacturers and you figure out, okay, well, I can get this for a price that is acceptable enough where I can get a decent amount of profit. And then what are the next steps from there? I mean, is the next step like like getting the graphics or the artwork made, or getting like a minimum order, or like what's the next step in that process? If you say, I've decided on the product, I've decided on the manufacturer, now what?
Next, you order samples. So if they're domestic, they'll ship samples, they'll come by priority mail, and you'll have them in 2 to 3 days. If it's international, normally the samples are free, but you pay for shipping. So you're anywhere from $20 to $60 in freight to get it air freighted over to you. And then you check out the sample and you use it, abuse it. just make sure that this is a quality product that if you were a revenue customer, that you'd be happy with it. That's not falling apart. It's a quality product. If the sample passes your inspection, then you place a deposit. And it's normally around 30% to get them making the product. Whether it's domestic or overseas, 30 to 50% is really reasonable. They make the product. Then once the product is made and ready to ship, it'll get inspected. You'll hire a third-party inspection company, and that's anywhere from $100 to $200 depending on how thorough they need to be. Once the inspection is done, it'll normally take a day. Then the inventory ships. The inventory will ship, and while the inventory is being made and shipped, that's when you're going to work on your graphics, your listing. You're going to write copy, things like that.
Cool. And so, so you make this deposit. You said 30% if you can. And so, what's your thought process as far as like that first order? I mean, or like, do you even have a choice? Is it a matter of you say, well, I'm gonna buy $500 worth or 100 units, or when you do that first order, what do you like to do usually?
I like to keep the number as small as possible for a few reasons. One, it's less money out of my pocket. But two, we're going to get some customer feedback along the way that allows us to innovate and make the product better. So if we can innovate faster, we're going to have better products in the marketplace sooner. So keep the minimum as low as possible. So we just ask them, what's the absolute minimum I can buy for that initial order? So anywhere from a few dozen units to even 500 units on the first order is reasonable.
Awesome. So good to know that going in. So a few dozen or 500, and then so if I'm also hearing you right, so there's like this inspection company, and so how does that work? Like it sounds like they does the inspection company like go walk into the factory or whatever where this stuff is made? It works like that?
Yeah. They'll go in and they'll create a 10 plus page report about what they find. And they'll take pictures of the product. They'll take pictures of themselves taking pictures of the product.
Awesome.
They'll do color samples. Like it's a huge report and it makes everyone feel great. So let's say it's $150. They'll find at least $150 worth of product that has a minor defect. And then the factory will fix those minor defects before it gets shipped. So they've justified their fee, which makes it basically free. You feel good that you're getting excellent merchandise, and the factory feels great that they're not going to have a difficult or embarrassing conversation later if the inventory didn't meet your expectations.
Right, and deal with that whole issue of if you have to send back a box of defective items and all that stuff. Awesome. And so as we're kind of discussing all this Amazon stuff, like I know a little bit, but not too much, which is good because we can kind of unpack some of the stuff because my business partner kind of did a little bit of this private labeling stuff with Amazon on his own, and I was surprised when he told me that like a lot of his suppliers came from the U.S. because I was expecting, them from a lot of stuff to come from like, Shenzhen, China or something like that. But he told me that like one guy was out of like California or something. And so you mentioned like the international shipping a little bit earlier. And so, I mean, have you seen this too? Like, are a lot of these suppliers, local, domestic from the U.S.?
Yeah, about half of our products are made in the U.S. So it really depends on what it is. We always do what makes sense. Our bias is to make things here in the U.S. because it's faster. You don't have to lose sleep to talk to the Chinese. You have cheap ground freight. It's easy to drop in and actually meet them without taking an international flight. There's a lot of great reasons to do business in the USA.
Cool. Well, good to know going in. And so, all right. So you say, all right, I've gone through this process and I've narrowed down the product and I've found the manufacturer and gotten it inspected and then they're shipping it. And then while they're shipping, then we can do the graphics and the listing. And so for the graphics and the listing, what do people need to know going in that area?
Well, if it's not your expertise, it shouldn't land on your plate. As a business owner, you can hire other people to do these things for you. So you can go to Fiverr. There's another outsourcing company called FreeUp. It's with three E's.
Oh, yeah, Nathan Hirsch.
Oh, yeah, you interviewed him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people we hire from his service, like we love him. So you can actually go and pay not a whole lot of money for someone to do the copy and do the images for you.
Awesome. And then so just to make sure that so even if we're like outsourcing and having someone else make it, like are there certain things that we should tell that outsourcer to make sure that we're happy, and are there certain things that we should look at when that product comes when that, for those finished graphics come back?
Well, what I like to do is give them links to my competition and tell them specifically what I like about that and what I don't like about it. So these images are great because there's a smiling woman, or these images are great because they're, outdoor backgrounds. Tell them specifically what you're expecting. This way they can meet those expectations the first time.
Cool, good to know, and I like that. So as opposed to just saying, well, here's some stuff, you're saying here's some stuff, here's some competitors, and the things that caught my eye, or things that I like, or things I would like to absorb. Here are those things. And so for those graphics, Fiverr or Free Up with 3 E's, and then as far as the listing, what do people need to know about that? And again, like if we say that, well, we might not be writing the listing ourselves, we might go to some kind of copywriter. So what sort of things, is it the same kind of process? Just look at competitors and see what you like about the text on the page?
Yes. Here, let me walk through it from top to bottom. And if you're listening to this on replay, you're going to be taking notes here. So,
Awesome.
pens hitting paper. So the images, first thing is they need to be zoomable. When you upload the images, the shortest side of the image needs to be at least 1,000 pixels for this to work. Next up, your title. Make sure your best keywords are at the front of the title. Moving down, your bullet points. Make sure that there's a call to action for your last bullet point. Should be your fifth bullet point. Literally tell them to buy the product. Go ahead and do testing on the pricing. There's an elasticity of what the market expects to pay. You may be able to charge more and put more, money in your bank. Next up, moving down, the product description. Same thing. End with a call to action. Don't just talk about the product. Don't make it too technical. Talk about the benefits, how it enhances the people's lives, how it makes them better. So if you're selling a product for kids, gaming glasses, kids don't have credit cards. You're really selling to the parents. So you're telling how it's making them a better parent and how their kid can be a great programmer and have a future without, eye fatigue. Moving down, make sure that you answer customer questions. Make sure that you get reviews. When you get reviews, make sure you reply to the reviews. Those are the quick and dirty version.
Awesome. So lots of good stuff in there. So make your image zoomable, 1,000 pixels on the shortest side. Have your best keywords at the front of that title. In your bullet points, the fifth or the last bullet point, have that call to action. Tell them to buy. Test your pricing and the description with that call to action. Have lots of benefits. And then ongoingly, if that's a word, when those customer questions and those reviews come in, then go ahead and answer them. So lots of good stuff. And I don't want to run over time, too much here as we're sort of getting long in the show, but one thing that sort of scares me, and it feels like it's one of those things where I didn't really know about it going in, but then people kind of talk about it, is this whole idea of the insurance. So can you kind of talk to us about that whole insurance issue with selling on Amazon?
So insurance is a big deal. I'm not a licensed insurance person, so you should probably talk to a licensed insurance person to get that advice. But here's my perspective. Insurance helps me sleep at night. It's affordable. So we over-insure. We have business insurance, business liability insurance. We have an umbrella policy. We have product liability insurance. We have a personal umbrella policy. So we love insurance. Umbrella policies are only, depending on your market, around $200 a year. Definitely talk to an insurance agent. Find out what's appropriate for you.
Awesome. And as I understand it, like, doesn't Amazon give you like a sheet of paper to print out and like take to your local State Farm or something like that?
I have not seen that, but that couldn't. I've been doing it long enough that maybe that wasn't available when I started, but that would be an awesome tool if that exists. I haven't seen it.
Okay, cool, fair enough. And so I mean, lots of cool stuff about Amazon, like lots of possibilities, but also some things to sort of keep track of. And I imagine that a lot of people who might have tried to do this Amazon thing from trial and error might have missed important steps or things like that. And so I'm really curious because your website is called AZ Done For You. So am I right in sort of assuming that this whole process we've talked about, is this a process that you can actually do for them as opposed to just sort of coaching someone through the process?
Well, yeah, what we found is, selling people courses that didn't really help everybody because people get lazy. Even doing it for people, it doesn't actually teach people to fish. It just hands them to fish. What we're doing these days is we're doing it with people. So literally, we're starting from zero. I have an idea and working through that process of picking the right market, picking the right products, finding the right suppliers. We're doing it so that at the end, you have products that you can launch continuously. So yeah, it's a 12-week process that we're actually starting a new group here in the next few weeks. So yeah.
Awesome. So, and the reason I ask is because if someone has heard our conversation today and they like your simplicity about things, they like sort of your decision making process and stuff like that, and they say, okay, well, I have an idea for an Amazon product. I want some help with that in some way. I want to go to this guy, Brad. I want him to help me out with this. Where should they go, and what sort of offer would they find when they go to you?
Yeah, you can go azdoneforyou.com. There's an opt-in. You can jump in, download some free tools, and then there's even a place to jump on a call and have like a 20-minute conversation of, is this a great idea? Is it a terrible idea? What do we do next? And if it's a fit, then we can work together. And if it's not a fit, you spent 20 minutes figuring out, it's not a great fit.
Awesome. And I can imagine that might save someone, months or years of sort of going down the wrong path because they talk to an expert like you to get them set straight.
Yes, absolutely. That's the nice thing is if you can save yourself time and money and stress is the big thing. You can always get money back and you always have another day, but just minimizing the stress that you're building in your life, that's what we really thrive on.
Awesome. And then so sort of along the lines of minimizing those problems and avoiding things before they become problems, have you seen in all your adventures just a number one universal mistake when it comes to people launching a product and selling it on Amazon?
There's like two really big ones. One is people aren't doing enough research on the problem fantasy desire. They're going out there and doing a Me Too product. So those are like two sides of the same problem. Take your time, do the research, really understand the emotions of your buyer, and then rather doing a copycat product, innovate the product.
Awesome, that really hits home with me a lot because I've definitely I can relate to maybe making that mistake early on, or sometimes having to remind myself of this lesson, or seeing other marketers and definitely other Amazon sellers making that mistake of just seeing a product and saying, "Ooh, I'm gonna write my listing almost just like theirs. I'm gonna make the picture look exactly just like theirs." And I've just noticed that when that seems to happen, it's like they only copy the top layer or so, and they miss like so many different things just because they didn't dive deep into that. And like you said, like do that research and focus on those couple of important things that are really important. So great stuff. Research into that problem fantasy desire thing. Don't make a Me Too product. And then so people should go. So is that right? azdoneforyou.com. Is that the place everyone should go right now?
Yep, go there and you can get some free tools and even book some time on my calendar. If I can help you get going in the right direction, we'll definitely do it.
Awesome. Good stuff. So everyone go right there now to azdoneforyou.com. And at the moment right there, there's a button to book a 20-minute free consulting call with Mr. Brad. So, I mean, it can't hurt to just run your idea by Brad to tell him where you're at, what you've got, so that way he can kind of tell you, well, do more of this or less of this, or we can work together, or don't do that. But either way, it can't hurt to just get another set of eyes to look at you and your offer. So lots of good stuff today, lots of important stuff about Amazon FBA, and I want to thank you, Brad, for coming on and making things clear and sort of laying out the steps and making it sound fun and not something that where we have to get bogged down in the details. It sounds like there's just a clear path. If we have some sort of problems or roadblocks, there's a clear solution, just kind of knocking out these little things. So I appreciate you, and thanks for stopping by the show and sharing this stuff with us, Brad.
Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate you listening to today's episode of The Robert Plank Show. Subscribe to us on iTunes and rate and review us at robertplank.com/iTunes.